Hello, and welcome back for the May edition of the Mixed Media Menagerie. As you know, I am Erin, and this is a collaboration with the beautiful gals Nicole and Laura. And this month we have the most fabulous guest, Jolene, from over at Mixed Media and Beyond. All of her links will be down in the description box below, so be sure to check her out. She's absolutely wonderful. I adore her, and her accent just soothes me on so many levels. So, okay, this month we are going to be playing with watercolors, soft pastels, and florals. So, get your supplies together and meet me back at the table. Hello. It's May already. How is this even possible? I swear this year is flying by. So I've got my bucket for this month's menagerie. I have my journal that we've been working on. I've got some watercolors here. This is just a bunch of different ones that I put together, and I like to use that palette. It's got a lot of good colors. And then I also have my soft pastels here off to the side that we will utilize as well. Any soft pastels that you have will work, but I just love those hand-rolled ones. I have a sketch that I pre-sketched, some charcoal or graphite paper to transfer it, and then we'll see what other goodies we decide to play with. So let's jump into it. So we'll go ahead and just flip through here real quick the past months, and we'll get to a nice clean page. As always, I'm going to grab my masking tape and go ahead and put a border around the outside of my spread. I just love how that feels when it's done, peeling off that tape. And now I'm going to grab this sketch. Now I pre-sketched this like I do often on just a piece of printer paper. And it folds in half beautifully, and it fits exactly the size of our journal, which is perfect. So that way I know it's going to fit on the page, and you know how much is going to spill over to the next side. So I'm going to go ahead and use this, it's like a kind of a graphite paper, and I'm going to transfer it into my book. That way we don't have too much erasing. Now I left this in here because I wanted to show you guys. I totally messed up. And the picture was gonna start going off onto the tape. So that wasn't gonna happen. So I grabbed an eraser and just kind of pulled up some of it. Now I knew I was gonna add a little bit of acrylic in the background. So whatever, we're gonna roll with it. You know, accidents happen. Nobody is perfect. I'm only human. Yep, everybody's a human. So I'm gonna reset this up a little bit more accurately with the tape and go ahead and retrace everything. Right, so now it's all transferred in, and kind of where I pushed really hard with my finger, some of that transferred over, but I'm not too worried about it. We're going to play with the layers, and hopefully by the end we won't even notice where those mess ups are. So I just have my pencil here, and kind of where that crease was, it was a little harder to get the transfer. Let's jump into the painting. So now I have some watercolors here, and I think this palette is kind of a mix between like Jane Davenport paints and also some Prima paints. I just sort of threw in the colors that I knew I wanted to work with, so it's all mixed in there. But I'm going to kind of create this sort of peachy skin tone color, and then we're going to water that down. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to use my reference here that I have off to the side for where the shadows were. So where I drew those shadows in originally. You don't have to do that. You could just decide on the fly where you wanted to have those shadows, but I like to work from my original, my reference, and then just kind of flow from there. So I'm going around as carefully as I can, but as you can tell, I'm just really haphazardly throwing in that watercolor. I'm trying not to paint over the flowers as much as possible so they don't pull up that color. But yeah, just a really quick, easy first layer. And then we'll go ahead and mix up some hair. It's a hair color. I'm going to go with kind of this brownish color, but you could do any hair color that you like. And we're just going to go ahead and get these first layers going. wanted to bring in some background color, and I thought maybe like a sky blue color would be really pretty. So I have this high flow acrylic paint, and I'm just going to paint that into the background. This will also help me decide how deep I want to darken those shadows with the watercolor on her face. So once we have that all painted in, we'll dry it up and then continue on. Now, florals are not like something I feel super confident in doing, but painting them, I'm just taking some water, adding it into the flower, and then dropping color in, and we're going to keep it really super, super basic. I did just kind of play around with the flowers when I drew them on. I looked on a couple references, but mostly I just sort of did, whatever, drew some lines and some dots, and I think I kind of like more of the viney look than the actual flowers themselves. But this month was all about flowers because it's May, so I thought, why not just test it out and try it. And you can't get better at something unless you actually practice doing it. So that's what I'm doing, just practicing some florals now. Now, if you've watched my videos before, I work in layers, and that blue was just, I felt like it was competing with the gal, and I thought if I took some gesso and toned it down, that would help. Now, it's going to go through a few changes here, but that is what I was thinking at this point in the process. So now that that's all dry, I'm coming in with some flat Payne's Gray. It's like a matte, and I love it because I love Payne's Gray, but I really was not digging that blue. And so this blue, this deeper blue, really makes her pop a lot more. And that's kind of more of the look that I was going for. So I'm just going to add a couple layers of this paint, and then we will head into the pastel portion. All right, it's pastel time. Now here are just, it's a little bowl of the ones I use most often. I'm going to make sure that layer's really dry before I jump in here. But I have this ruined brush. Now I ruin brushes so quickly, but that's okay because then I can repurpose them for my pastels. So this part, just think like you're putting makeup on a face, really. We're just going to add some blush, a little bit of shading here and there. I'm not going to go super heavy. We're going to build up these layers as we go. And I do switch out my paintbrush here and there just to get a little bit of a more finer blend as we move along in the process. So you will see that as we go. But this is pretty much all I'm doing here. And then I'm going to go back and forth between the paint. So here I brought the paint back with a thinner paintbrush to kind of paint in some strands of the hair and then deepen the shadow and the darkness of the hair around the face, just to kind of bring in some more of those layers. We want to bring light and darkness into the piece at the same time. So that's why I work simultaneously, going back and forth between the two. When the watercolor dries, I'll go into the pastels and then back and forth. So I'll throw on some music and then jump back in here and there. As those layers are drying, I'll pop in real fast to remind you to play along with us. Just go ahead and create your content either here on YouTube or over on Instagram and use the hashtags Mixed Media Menagerie and also MMM May22. At the end of the month, we do kind of like a tag along or like a hop along where you can just click on those hashtags and see everybody's artwork that was created using this month's prompts. So definitely play along with us. We're looking forward to seeing all that you create. And also a big thank you for, watching the videos, hanging out with us, giving all the love. Yeah, this community is just so amazingly great, and I am extremely blessed to be a part of it. So thank you, and let's pop back into the video. at this point, we're going to go ahead and bring in some white gel pen, and I'm going to go around the outside of those flowers there and just give it a little bit more of a pop against the background. Some of the lighter blue and the white and all of that sort of distorted the outside of the petals. So we're just going to bring some more of that definition back into those. And then we'll also use that gel pen here into the face as well. So we'll bring some shine into the eyes and a couple places around the face here and then on the neck as well. And then I thought it would be kind of cool to have like a glow around the flowers. So I'm just taking a really kind of a bright, vibrant yellow and just putting that around the flowers and then blending it out again with my paintbrush like we were doing before. And now after this, I'm going to wipe it off. If you don't want to use your hand, use a towel, but wipe it off so you get most of that off, and then go around the outside edges to really soften up that glow. So it's not as, there's not as much of a definitive shift between where the dark and the light is. And then I'm just touching up the background a little bit more here where some of those spots were kind of peeking through. And again, I'm just going to go around with the white gel pen and do a few more touch-up things as we finish up our portrait. And I think that's about going to wrap it up. So all that's left to do is pull our tape off. I'm so excited. I love this part. I can see some of that blue, the light blue peeked through, and that's okay. You know, it kind of reminds me that there was layers there. So, you know, imperfection has its place as well as a reminder. You could always go around with some white paint if you really wanted that gone, but I'm loving how it turned out. Just the softness of the pastels. If you want to go dive deep further into pastels and watercolors, I have a couple classes actually that I have taught on layering watercolors and pastels to create portraits. So I can leave those links down in the description box below if you want to check them out. Also, be sure to check out both Laura, Nicole, and Jolene's projects for this month to get lots of inspiration for you to jump into your own studio and get creating. I am so excited and can't wait to see all of the artwork that you create this month. Even if it's not Menagerie related, I'm still excited. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. And as always, until next time, happy creating.